He's involved in a number of businesses.
He's a great role model.
Telling it like it is, giving you both sides of the story. This is Cats at Night.
Great American, a great New Yorker.
Now, here's John Katsimatidis.
This is Cats at Night. John Katsimatidis here. Sunday morning? No, it's not Sunday morning. It's coming to be Sunday morning someday.
Absolutely.
What are we? It's Wednesday morning.
Congressman King is here. It's Wednesday.
Well, you're always working 24/7, so you don't know what day of the week it is.
Yeah, sometimes. And we have a great show for you today, and we have a common sense Democrat, Judge Richard Weinberg, common sense Republican, former Congressman Peter King, and my sidekick, Lydia Serrani. And we have a great show for them today. And this is a TriCast, broadcasting out of the WABC studios in Midtown and 770 on your dial and WABCradio.com. Also, 970 AM The Answer and WLIR. And we could have almost 1 million people listening to us.
And we have a great show coming for everybody tonight. You don't want to miss it. We'll be speaking with Ashley Moody, who is the Florida Attorney General. We'll be speaking with Assemblyman Minority Leader Will Barclay, and we'll be talking to him about crime. Are there any moderates left up there in Albany? John McLaughlin, pollster, Ed Cox, Dr. Peter Mikolos. But first on the line, we have Michael Dowling. And Michael Dowling, I mean, who doesn't know who Michael Dowling is? Now, he's the president and chief executive officer of Norwell Health. And Norwell Health is the largest employer in New York State with 22 hospitals with more than 79,000 employees. Welcome to Cats at Night, Michael Dowling.
Thank you so much. Delighted to be with you. Thank you so much.
Well, it's always good to hear your voice, and there's so many things happening in New York. Where do we begin? Tell us about. Everybody's worried. There's a fear campaign. It feels like sometimes everybody's worried about COVID. Now everybody's scared about the monkeypox, et cetera, et cetera. Tell us, you have the largest amount of hospitals in New York City, New York State. Tell us, where do you think we are with all that?
I think we're in a good position right now. Just to give an example, back at the height in 2020, we had close to 4,000 patients in our hospitals each day. Today, I've got about 360 patients in my hospitals. But about half of those are people who didn't come in because of COVID. They tested positive. They came in with some other ailment, and they tested positive. So the number of people that came in with COVID is only about 140. And there are very, very few people in the ICU and very, very few people in critical care. So that, in my view, we're in a good place. I think there's excessive hysteria about this. Obviously, the community transmission is increasing, but most people are not getting sick in any major way. They may feel bad for a day or two. So I think that we've got to stay calm. Got to stay optimistic. This is going to be around for a while, and we're just going to have to live with it. As long as you don't open the hospital, you're okay. But life has to go on, and business has to go on. So I think we just got to stay nice and calm. We're in a good place right now.
Michael,
Not
this is
completely out of it, but in a good place.
Michael, this is Pete King. First of all, a disclaimer: I do work for Norwell, and I'm very privileged to work closely with Michael. And Michael, the whole issue of gun violence was really brought to a head yesterday by the tragic shooting in Texas. Right. I know you and Norwell are very involved in this whole issue. Can you just tell the listeners exactly what you've been doing and also how you see it going toward the future?
Yeah, we took a position a couple of years ago. We made a statement that gun violence is a real public health issue. It's the obligation of healthcare leaders to be advocates on this so that we can actually reduce the incidence of gun violence. So we're involved in lots of education, lots of prevention efforts, working with a lot of organizations across the country. We have created a coalition of about 400 organizations, healthcare organizations primarily, to get them to become advocates to treat gun violence as a public health issue. What happened in Texas yesterday is an abomination. It's just absolutely awful, especially when you have somebody going in and taking the lives of fourth graders. We need action on this. We have to do something to reduce the accessibility to firearms and guns. Congress has to take some action that we keep talking about every time we have an event like this. And then everybody wonders about talks about how difficult it is, and then life goes on, and we forget, and then there's going to be another one. This requires some action. And we should definitely have universal background checks for anybody that wants a gun. We should definitely do things like ban assault guns, assault weapons. I see no reason for them whatsoever. But from the health point of view, we see the results of gun violence in our facilities all the time, whether it be physical illness or physical trauma or behavioral health or mental health issues. We see it. And this is a bad reflection on the United States. We're better than this. We should not be having the newspaper headlines on the morning, be talking about how many kids are killed by people with guns.
Michael, on the issue of mental health,
situation.
On the issue of mental health, Northwell is also really reaching out into the community. Would you mind discussing that?
Yeah, we're reaching out into. Yeah, we are. We're reaching out into the community. Obviously, we need to do a lot more in the mental health arena, but we have to be careful because people will jump to the conclusion that all gun violence is a result of the lack of mental health. We do have a mental health issue, but we also have a gun availability issue. Gun accessibility is an issue. We've got to deal with mental health, and we got to deal with the availability of guns.
In addition, there's been a lot of shortages. I've heard around from a lot of hospitals and that there's been shortages of product. But when we talk, you tell me you have your own distribution facility, and you're able to buy in large chunks. And Northwell Hospitals has no shortages. Is that correct?
Well, during COVID, we had no shortages of PPE because we have our own supply chain company and we have our own warehouses. And this is something we invested on years ago because I like to have enough supplies around. So in the case of a disaster or a crisis like we had with COVID, we wouldn't run into a problem. So we had no problem during COVID because of the lack of supplies. And obviously, there are other issues right now where we're there are other factories in China that have been shut down. This is contrast. It's what we use for interventional radiology and for MRIs and other things, PET scans. And there is a shortage of that at the moment. Hopefully, it'll get better over the next couple of weeks. But we have to diversify. I'm not talking about the United States. We cannot be dependent upon a couple of countries for basic, fundamental supplies that we need as our life and safety. So we need to be diversifying. We need to be manufacturing more of this country, and at Northwell we're working with other countries to get extra supplies from other places other than China. But it's a problem.
Understood.
And hopefully there's a lesson here that we can resolve over time.
Understood. And the additional thing, you operate such a large network, and sometimes when we did see each other, I didn't realize till then Lenox Hill Hospital in New York City is part of Northwell. Are you putting the Northwell sign on all your facilities? Tell all New Yorkers, all the American people, all the names you operate under.
Well, we have our Northwell name is on every facility. We have 22 hospitals: North Shore, Lenox Hill, North Shore University Hospital, Long Island Jewish, Staten Island University Hospital, Phelps in Westchester, etc., Huntington Hospital. And then we have 851 outpatient ambulatory locations. We have more outpatient locations than anybody else in the region, and the Northwell name is on all of those as well. We also have a medical school. We have a big academic teaching place. We're a big research place. We have huge home care. So pretty much everything that you need in the area of healthcare we've got. They're all under the umbrella of Northwell. And obviously we've got to continue our marketing and our promotion. Lenox Hill was our first facility that we took over in Manhattan. But right now we have 96 locations in Manhattan alone. And Lenox Hill, obviously, a historic place, has been around since the 1860s. A phenomenal place, does wonderful work, and was recently listed as having the best cardiac surgery outcomes in New York State. So we're very, very fortunate, and we're growing. We're continuing to grow and expand, and we're in Westchester, Long Island, New York City, Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens. We're moving into Connecticut. So, and as you mentioned, John, we will have by September, we'll have about 80,000 employees.
Wow. Judge Richard Weinberg?
Hi, Michael. Nice to talk to you again. There's a bill up in Albany that they've been pushing for decades. It's called single payer. So everything would be going through the government rather than through private insurance. What's your views on that?
I think it's a huge, huge mistake. It sounds simple, sounds nice and easy. It has, the people who advocate for it make it look like the world is like nice and easy. A single payer will not work. It hasn't worked in most places where it is where it exists, and I'm very, very familiar with because of my experience in Ireland and other places.
And it's more expensive as well, isn't
private.
it?
Say it again.
And it's more expensive. The cost
much
of
more
taxpayer.
expensive.
Right.
You can't afford it. You would have to dramatically increase taxes to the point where it would be ridiculous. It would dramatically diminish innovation and creativity. It is just the wrong solution. We need to fix a lot of issues in healthcare, and that's true every place. But single payer is not the panacea that people make it out to be at all. I think would be a terrible mistake for New York to move in that direction.
Michael, in the time we have left, could you tell the listeners how a guy who grew up in maybe the poorest part of Ireland becomes a New York State Health Commissioner and now runs an operation which has more employees than any other in the entire state of New York?
You're from Limerick, right?
County Limerick, yes.
See, I remember that.
Yeah, and I came here. I have a lot of Irish luck, too, Plus, you also meet people.
And,
I kissed the Blarney Stone twice.
I heard they pee on it.
But, I came here when I was just shy of 18. I worked down on the docks in the west side of Manhattan. I worked in construction, went to school at night. I went to Fordham, became professor at Fordham, ended up in government, was with Mario Cuomo for 12 years, became the head of Health and Human Services. But then moved on to insurance, and then came to North Shore Hospital, the entity that created Norwell, 27 years ago now. So I've been very, very, very fortunate. But it shows you the promise that exists in the United States. This would not have happened anyplace else. It happened because I came to the U.S. It happened because I met lots of great people. I worked hard, yes, but I met lots of great people, and I took advantage of the opportunities that came before me. And, success is all about learning from other people. It's about not complaining too much. It's working hard and getting on with it and being very optimistic about the possibilities that exist in the future. So I've been a very, very lucky person indeed, and very, very fortunate. And but it's an immigrant story. And as I tell people all the time, we're all immigrants. And all immigrants, by their very, very nature, are optimists. And because otherwise you don't leave one place to go to another place unless you have some optimistic feeling that there is something better at the other side.
Michael, going back
of the United States. So.
I was going to say, going back 2 years when suddenly COVID was on us, and you said 4,000 patients at a time. Did you think we'd ever get out of this? I mean, did you see right at the end of the tunnel?
I was. I was very. I'm a believer that you can always. It's not what happens to you that matters in life, it's how you react to it. I was always optimistic. We thought at the beginning, however, first of all, at the beginning, we didn't understand the disease, but we also thought that it would be over in maybe 3 months. Then we thought it would be over in a year. I don't think any of us thought that it would last this long, although we should have known better given the history of previous pandemics. But I always believed that we would win. There was going to be no choice. We were fighting an invisible enemy, and I said many, many times when I was on other on TV and other radio stations, I said we're going to win. There's only one winner here. There's no putting up the white flag. There's no retreat. We're going to win. You have to have that winning attitude if you want to succeed. So I always knew that we would win at the end of the day. It took longer, of course, than we thought, and we're not out of it yet. Remember, this is going to be around with us for the next year or two. In various stages, and we'll adapt. We'll deal with it. It's not as bad at all as it was. As I said earlier, it's much better today, and it'll get better. But it'll be around, and we'll just have to manage with it.
Well, Michael Dowling, thank you so much for coming on. Congratulations on your great success. You're doing a great job running Norwell, and we hope to catch up with you again real soon and to fill us in on what's going on in medicine and hospital.
Yeah, and I just want to end, John, with one thing. We're having a huge celebration this weekend in the city to celebrate the veterans. We do an awful lot celebrating veterans. we owe them a debt of gratitude, and we owe them. We're free because of the work that they've done over history. So we do an awful lot to celebrate veterans. We do provide more veteran services almost than anybody else in the region. So we have a big event in the Flatiron District in Manhattan on Saturday from 12 to 6. If there are people around that area that want to come down and be entertained in celebration of veterans, I would welcome them to be there.
Well, that is a good idea, and we're going to be WABC is open live most of the weekend, so we're going to be celebrating Memorial Day and veterans their contribution to America. So anything else you need, we're going to be starting Friday. You'll have some of your people call us up, and we will put them on.
Absolutely. We will do that, John. That is great because we need to do an awful lot more to celebrate the
and I think you did tell me
the result of veterans.
That you hire at least 500 new veterans every year.
We do. We hire hundreds and hundreds of veterans every year. They make great employees. They've got great experience. We owe them a debt of gratitude.
Michael Dowling, Chairman of Norwell, thank you again, and we'll catch up again real soon. Have a great Memorial Day.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you. Same here, John. Thank you, son. Thanks, Peter. Cheers.
And we're going to be taking a break, and when we come back, we have the Attorney General of Florida, Ashley Moody, and a lot of things going on. So you better stay tuned. Don't lose out. We'll be right back.